What's going on, Pats Nation, and welcome to another episode of Patriots Podcast. Let's get into it. All right, good morning, boys and girls, Pats fans around the world. This is the first episode ever of Patriots Podcast. I'm going to be hoping to bring you everything and anything about the New England Patriots on a daily basis. We're going to cover off-season, new coaching hires, free agency, new drafts, and hopefully what we're going to do with the number 4 draft pick this year. So appreciate you guys hopping on the channel. Please like, subscribe, share, whatever. Let's spread the love. All right. So we're going to dive right in and look at our coaching hires this year. We've got Mike Vrabel as the new head coach. We got Josh McDaniels as the offensive coordinator. And we just brought in a stud who was a massive part in the Lions' success this year to run the defensive coordinator. So my look at this is, one, we've got major upgrade at coaching from Gerard Mayo to now Mike Vrabel. He's a 3-time Super Bowl champ. He's a little bit older. He's had proven success in the league. He's brought the Titans to the playoffs, I believe, 2 out of the 3 years when he was there. Plus Josh McDaniels, 6-time Super Bowl champ. He was there for pretty much all the success we had in the 2000s, that whole dynasty. So the way I see it, he can kind of play the head coach role of the offense. And then Mike Vrabel can kind of mentor the first-time defensive play caller that we're bringing in and kind of mesh what his whole idea of what our defense should be and our identity, and then let his coaching philosophies trickle down into our new defensive coordinator, and then have a more of an oversight rather than what Bill Belichick did, which was play 18 different roles for one guy. You know, he's a little bit more of a delegator. And the biggest improvement over Gerard Mayo, I'm all for being a player's coach, right? But he was loved by the locker room, but I don't think he was respected necessarily. Mike Vrabel, he's going to be like the dad who gives you tough love. You know, he's going to tell you exactly what it is. You got to get with the program. And I believe he said it in his first interview. He said, we're going to get rid of entitlement in our football team. Because this past year, we've seen the most players hopping on social media, airing their grievances with interviews. And these are people that really shouldn't even be speaking up. I mean, one example, Kashawn Butte, he was demanding he gets the ball more in the offense. And of course, Alex Van Pelt, the offensive coordinator last year, is going to support him and say, hey, I want you to ask for the ball. I want you to say, hey, if you see something during the game and you think it's going to benefit the team, come let me know right then and we can figure it out. If it includes adding a little bit more plays for you, then we'll entertain it. But at the end of the day, you just got to go out there and do your job and let the results speak for themselves. So, you know, if you do good every time you catch the ball, obviously they're going to try and get you the ball more. When Kashawn Boutte was saying that stuff, he dropped like half the passes he was getting in the first half of the season. And some big ones, some big plays too that are one-on-one contested catches. So I do like his development, especially second year. I thought he was a stud when we picked him up in the 6th round. Didn't do anything his first year. Kind of like Demario Douglas, where he showed a lot of potential, but Douglas had, the most catches out of a rookie in the Patriots in franchise history. I believe it was like 650 yards, like maybe 60 some catches. So he's pretty much our lock out of any receiver right now in the slot position. And Josh McDaniels coming in on board, his whole offense pretty much ran around Julian Edelman and Rob Gronkowski and having a solidified backfield. And we've had some good running backs. You know, we were pretty lucky. We had Sweet Feet James White. We had Sony Michel. If you go back a little bit further, you got Woodhead. You got Shane Vereen. And all these guys, where we kind of got away from it now, were great in the pass catching. You know, you would be able to run the ball when you wanted to, but you could put 2 backs in the backfield, do a split back formation, and you have those checkdowns there where You're not putting it on the quarterback to scramble left or right because you got those guys over. The ball travels faster than a quarterback can run every time. That's what Tom Brady said. That's why he was so successful in the pocket, because he knew he could get the ball there 5 times faster than anybody can run it. So if we can get back to that, we have Ramondre Stevenson, we have Antonio Gibson. Stevenson had 7 fumbles this past season. That's more than his previous 3 years combined. So I would probably prefer we look for a trade. If we can get a fourth round, honestly, even like a 5th round pick for him, bring in some young blood, some new legs. I want to keep Antonio Gibson. He kind of showed promise. He got better as the year went on, and that wasn't so much to do with them giving him more touches, but I believe he got better with coaching, and even got faster. Our running backs coach at the time even said he's the quick guy. Stevenson's a 3-down bag, but people underestimate how quick Gibson is getting off acceleration wise. So if you can get him involved in the pass game a little bit more, have the defense have to go into a week planning for that versus just we're going to run the ball behind a very low tier offensive line. Defenses aren't really going to worry about that. They'll let you run it. They'll play back. They won't fill the box. And Drake May, he did amazing. Like he outside of the pocket was one of the best quarterbacks. If you look up statistically, especially the yards per scramble, like off script plays downfield. And that's with mediocre talent at wide receiver. So if we can get somebody to pair up with Douglas, I like Booty. I want to keep him in the starting 3, but we really need that number 1 wide receiver. And I'm sorry, I do not want to pay T. Higgins $35 million to bring in another number 2 wide receiver. I know everybody thinks he's a solidified number 1 wide receiver. When you have Jamar Chase on the other side, yeah, anybody's going to look good being a number 2 wide receiver. He had one game, I know, where he got 3 touchdowns, 156 yards when Jamar Chase was out. But I've seen a 4th-string running back for the Patriots, Jonah Gray, get 4 touchdowns and 200 yards and then never play a game again. So I kind of lean towards taking a wide receiver in this draft at number 4. If we can trade down to maybe like 6 or 8 and get a 2nd-round pick or next year's first and still pick up like a blue chip player, I'm all for it. Travis Hunter, he's going to be gone top 3, top 4 picks. So I'm all for that because Travis Hunter is probably one of the best wide receiver prospects, even if he never played corner. And he's a dual way player. So most people are saying Travis Hunter will be a starting corner, and then they're going to come up with a couple formations or packages for him on offense, kind of like Marcus Jones does right now, hopefully a little bit more so on the offensive side. But if anybody ever gets hurt during the season, he's also a 2-way player where he can plug in and, okay, we lost our receiver, hop in there, and he can play a little bit more packages or learn the offense a little bit more. But we can also put him on the other side of Gonzalez on defense. And now you've got 2 lockdown corners, and that little helps out your middle linebackers. That helps out your defensive line, gives them a little bit more time. The quarterback's got to hold the ball for an extra second or 2. And we've got 2 really good safeties right now. I know they didn't have the best season. Both of them were dealing with injuries or off the field issues. You got Jabril Peppers and you got Kyle Duggar. So I know Mike Vrabel coming in, he's a defensive minded coach. He's going to be licking his lips at Abdul Carter in the draft. If he's there at number 4, he's probably the consensus top edge rusher in the draft by far. And then you have Mason Graham, who's a D tackle, which I'm not for. We're not a D tackle away from being competitive. I want Teteroa McMillan. I mean, he's 6'5". He's super athletic. He's not like the fastest guy. He's not going to run a 4.3 at the combine, but his hands are sure. His spatial awareness in the field is great. I watched some film on him, and after the catch, he's good at avoiding tackles not taking bad hits, not setting himself up to get rocked after a catch. And he'll come back a couple yards after a catch to get around a defense and then go down the field for another 20, 30 yards. And if you got a true threat like that for Drake May, who's got one of the prettiest deep balls we've seen out of a quarterback since Tom Brady, defenses are going to have to respect that. And the second you get a guy who's a true number one that you got to worry about not only play to play, but in the red zone, that opens up Hunter Henry, the tight end. If we keep our other tight end, he's going to be a star as well. I mean, I think Gerard Mayo said, I don't know how much you credit his opinion, but he said he would be a starter on, more than half the teams in the league right now. So between him and Hunter Henry, then you've got Stevenson or Gibson, whoever we decide to keep in the backfield, and Demario Douglas, who's that quick twitch slot receiver. Now you've got an offense that demands respect, if not every play, at least in the red zone area. That adds that extra weapon for Drake May. Plus, Drake May can run the ball. So Josh McDaniels, he's never ran an offense for a mobile quarterback who has all the tangibles in the pocket, being able to make all the throws. And Drake May is a fast processor. Like, he'll understand Josh McDaniels' offense faster than anybody else in the league, as far as rookies go with processing power. That everybody said he was the smartest dude in the building the first year he was there this past season. So if Josh McDaniels can get an offensive weapon like that, a true number one wide receiver, and then mix that with having a mobile quarterback, kind of like Josh Allen, his offense, where you can run that QB design play for a run, put his big body. Drake May is not small. He's 6'4", 6'5", 230 pounds. He can put his head down, and you're going to have to put bodies on him to get him down on the ground. And at the same time, that adds another layer for the other teams to kind of scheme against on defense. So we've never really seen Josh McDaniels' offense having a pocket passer who also has the ability to scramble and make off-script plays. He had Tom Brady, who is solely a pocket passer. You're not going to design a run for Tom Brady. And then he goes to Mac Jones, who's probably even worse mobility-wise than Tom Brady. And then you go to Cam Newton, which was the last year he was here. And that was pretty much all design runs. I mean, he designed the whole offense around Cam Newton's ability. Cam Newton could not throw the ball more than 20 yards, if that. He had a couple of shoulder surgeries. He was getting up there in age. So Josh McDaniels redesigned the offense that year to accommodate for Cam Newton. And we had some success. It wasn't a great year. We didn't make the playoffs or nothing, but that shows his ability to say, okay, here's what we have on the table. What can we do well? And how are we going to get the most out of our players, including Drake May, for a good offense that's going to keep up with now an offensive-driven league? I mean, the defense is not getting any new rules or regulations to help them. It's an offensive league, okay? You look at, the Rams the other week in the playoffs. Matt Stafford tosses the ball underhand to a player running by 6 yards away, and they deem it an incomplete pass. So you got to be able to score points. And Josh McDaniels just said this week, his first interview since we hired him, he said every time the offense gets on the field, you have one job, and that's to score points. And what he's going to do is try and score as many points as possible in every game we play. So I hope the mix between Mike Vrabel bringing in a defense, getting us back to our standard, because we've always been a top 10 defense. We gave teams fits. We were respected around the league, especially when Bill Belichick was there. You didn't know what you were going into. He would find your weakness, make you play left-handed, go away from your strengths, have to figure out another way, take out that number one wide receiver who Christian Gonzalez has been doing all season. And marry that with Josh McDaniels, who's never been unsuccessful as an offensive coordinator. The only times he left the Patriots was to be a head coach. He was that good at offensive coordinator. So he never left or got fired because he wasn't cutting it. No. People said he's so good at what he does, 3 different teams tried to hire him. The Colts, that didn't work out. And then he went to the Broncos. And then he went to the Raiders. And now he's back in New England. So not only is he back in New England, he's probably not going anywhere for a while. So that means you've got longevity at an offensive coordinator position, where on other teams, if we brought in some new guy, he does great a year or two with Drake May. Somebody's snatching him up, and he's going to be a head coach in a year or two. But Josh McDaniels, I don't think we have to worry about that. So we've got Mike Vrabel, who's not going anywhere for at least a few years. This isn't going to be a one and done like Gerard Mayo. We got Josh McDaniels, who's not going anywhere. He's going to be an absolute stud. He took Mac Jones to the Pro Bowl in his first year. Imagine what him and Drake May are going to be able to do. Plus, we've got a bevy of picks in the draft this year. We're going to beef up the O-line, hopefully in free agency, get some solidified, proven guys that can win at the line of scrimmage. Hopefully we get a D tackle or two, because Christian Barmore, as great of a player as he is, he's just not reliable right now due to blood clots. We don't know if he's going to play football or not, so we can't really rely on him. We do need some edge. We need some edge rushers, because we have not gotten great pressure at all. And in this league, especially with the mobility now, we need to be able to limit the off-script, scramble to the right, left, because I don't care how good you are as a corner. If a wide receiver is running around for 8 seconds, he's going to get open. That's just plain and simple. So Mike Vrabel will take that defense, get him back to the standard. Josh McDaniels is going to make sure Drake May understands exactly what it is he needs from him on offense. And Josh McDaniels used an analogy called filling the cup. You start with a cup. See how much the quarterback can take knowledge-wise. And once the cup starts to get near the top, you give him a bigger cup, and you hopefully by the end of the year, you have a bucket. You have a bucket of knowledge, right? So Drake May is going to be able to kind of blossom into what he's shown the past season. And hopefully we see kind of a new age style of offense out of Josh McDaniels, from taking a year off, watching the league, seeing what's successful. And I know Josh McDaniels watches film. He's going to see what Ben Johnson was doing. He's going to take a couple of pages out of his script and say, hey, let's install some of these packages. Let's add these, double shovel passes. You're not going to see, the double pass Julian Edelman to Amendola probably, but we're going to be able to make some plays. And I'm pretty excited. Hopefully, come this draft, we get some type of offensive weapon. I'm not big on the tackles this year. I think if we trade down once or twice and pick up a Calvin Banks or Will Campbell, we could probably get him in the 20th pick in this draft, to be honest. I mean, they're not blue chip players that people are licking their lips trying to trade the house to get to. You got a couple quarterbacks. You got Shador Sanders. You got Cam Ward. And then you got Travis Hunter. And then probably Abdul Carter. And then Mason Graham. I think those are the consensus top 5 picks right now. Tat McMillan's probably number 6 there. And then you start going into, who the best corner is, who the best tackle is. But I don't think people are high up on the tackles, and I don't think they're high up on corners. We got Christian Gonzalez 17th overall, and he was debatably the number 1 corner on the board. So I think we're going to be excited to see what this team does through free agency, through the draft, and then hopefully, give a full training camp to Drake May, who wasn't even the starter. He wasn't getting all the starting reps till week 8, week 7. So he really didn't even have a full camp where, hey, you're the starter. The offense is built around you. We had to kind of tailor it back for Jacoby Brissett, who is not as mobile, is not as big, is not as athletic as Drake May. And now we're going to be able to say, hey, you're our guy. Here's who we have on offense. Here's who we have on defense. Here's who we're bringing in. And here's what we want to do in the draft. And I think we do have Elliott Wolf still. Apparently, we have a new grading system as well that we're implementing this draft. But we're also bringing in the guy from the Giants who Mike Vrabel's a fan of. So they're kind of going to be a 2-person tandem as far as the de facto GM or personnel executive. So between them, I know Mike Vrabel's going to have probably close to the final decision and say, hey, this is what I want to do on offense. This is what I want to do on defense. This is what type of team I want. And it's up to Elliott Wolf to kind of put that vision into the actual players and put them on the field. So hopefully I have some more news coming in. I'm going to keep track of all the hires that we got. We do have like 5 or 6 positions that are open because we had a lot of guys leave this season. Still got, maybe another quarterbacks coach that comes in, offensive line, defensive line, and hopefully Brian Belichick is still around. We keep him at like the safety position where he's been pretty strong, and see what a full, healthy Patriots team looks like in about 90 days from now when we're at the draft and we go into training camp. So I will talk to you guys in the next video. Appreciate you guys watching. Please comment anything that you guys think is something you want to know about, something we might discuss next episode, and I'll bring it up. We'll talk about it. I do plan on doing some live videos as well, so we can sit there and chat together and kind of feed questions and answers and figure out where this team's going. But I'm excited. You guys should be excited, and look forward to talking to you guys next video.